Hello and welcome to the latest Cartsburn Publishing presentation of Inverclyde's local history. My name is Vincent Gillen and today I will talk about Inverclyde and its twin towns and villages in Normandy, Vulette-sur-Mer, Fleurette and Canny-Barville. The towns of Greenock, Gourock and Port Glasgow are twinned with these three Normandy towns and villages. Places that suffered at the hands of the Germans and as a consequence of the D-Day landings. This twinning happened in 1946 and was the catalyst for a whole swathe of British towns following suit. Vulette-sur-Mer, Fleurette and Canny-Barville are in the Seine-Maritime department in the north of France. Dieppe is the nearest big town and was a strategic port in World War II. It was liberated by the Canadians in 1944 after the D-Day landings. So let me tell you the story of how this twinning came about. When the Free French naval forces arrived in Greenock in 1941, they had nowhere to stay. Over the following months they acquired barracks at Drum's Farm, a social centre at the Martyrs on North Church in West Burn Street, and an officers' club on Finnart Street in the west end of Greenock. This was, in great part, the work of a committee of locals who provided the basic comforts of life for these men. The local committee of Friends of France included the editor of the Greenock Telegraph, J. Erskine Orr, Marion Smith, a local schoolteacher, and Elizabeth Lowe, as part of the national committee led by Lord Inverclyde. Lord Inverclyde, John Allen Burns, who lived at Wimsby, had survived a traumatic experience at the start of the war. Fighting in the rearguard action at Dunkirk as a captain in the Scots Guards, he was on board the SS Lancastria when it sank off of Saint-Nazaire in 1940. This was the single largest loss of life in British maritime history, with estimates of 4,000 to 7,000 deaths. It was therefore remarkable that he managed to survive. He was rescued by the crew of HMT Cambridgeshire. After returning to England, Inverclyde presented each of his rescuers with a round rosewood box full of cigarettes, each box with an engraved silver plaque and each individually named. Inverclyde then dedicated the rest of the war to helping the French. He raised funds through a variety of events, raised the profile by involving his high society friends, met with Charles de Gaulle and other members of the National Fighting France body. As a result of his work, after the war he was awarded Commandeur Légion d'honneur, la Médaille de la Reconnaissance, la Médaille de la Ville de Nancy, honorary citizenship of the towns of Brest and Vulette-sur-Mer, and an honorary doctorate of the University of Dijon. Inverclyde was president of the Franco-Scottish Society 1949–54, chairman of Friends of France Council for Glasgow and the West of Scotland 1942–57, and an honorary member of the Association Française Libre. Pictured here is Marion M. Smith, who taught French at Gourock High School. She would become known as La Marraine de Vulette, godmother of Vulette. She helped support the Sailors' Fireside as the Martyrs on North Church became known, a rest centre for the Free French which had scenes of France painted on the walls. This involved providing the most basic of materials as well as comforts. Accomplished through fundraising, concerts and collections were arranged to achieve these aims. Marion was awarded the highest recognition in France, the Palme d'Académie, for the work she did for educational services in organising the visits to and from France after the war between Inverclyde and the towns of Normandy. But why these particular towns and villages? This was the idea of Frenchman Charles Courreble from Voulette-sur-Mer. As the Telegraph reported, a sturdy fisherman, hearing the approaching tanks, grabbed his family, wife, 2 boys and 2 girls, and raced for the last boats leaving from the beaches of Saint-Nazaire. They arrived in Britain, and Charles, along with his older son, joined the Free French Navy. The son, Jean, was killed as a result of enemy action while serving with the Free French, and was buried at Portsmouth. Charles and his family then moved to Greenock. He must have been one of the very few people who would have managed to evacuate his family. There he would have met Juliette McGill, a French woman living in Greenock, and of course Marion Smith and others in the committee. He served on board the Free French corvettes. At the end of the war, the Free French built the memorial on Lisle Road. They were originally going to build a chapel, but this was changed. Prior to this, in order to continue the relationship these men had built up over 4 years with Greenock and the surrounding area, it was Charles who suggested that the towns were linked. Hearing about the way the Germans had destroyed the local villages, he and the Greenock Committee arranged to send support packages after the village was liberated in 1944. After the war, Charles, pictured on the left, arranged for a plaque to be erected in memory of his son at Voulette-sur-Mer, and a street was named after him. With the financial support of the Greenock Telegraph through Mr. J. Erskine Orr, a generation of local school children have had their opportunity to visit these villages and other locations in France, allowing the pupils to benefit from a unique relationship of support founded in the harsh realities of the sacrifice of war. The towns of Inverclyde continued this exchange of visits up until the mid-1970s, when financial constraints brought the project to an end. There are 2 roads in Voulette and Canny called Rue de Greenock. Looking at these 2 photographs, one might hazard a guess that we have quite a lot more in common than we think. Thank you for watching this little bit of Inverclyde history. Till next time, à bientôt.